red, blue, purple light. Friends, red, blue, purple light. Friends, facts, red, blue, purple light. Friends, red and blue, purple light. Friends, facts, you can get to know the ledger, sacrilegious Sunday to melanin Monday. You can get to know the ledger, my love. Just open your third eye on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road, you better stay on your toes. I was till the land, focused on the ego. Then I opened my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah, we gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts, we in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts, peace, love and light. Peace, love to the family. Peace, love and light. To the family. Peace, love and light. To the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you, and it's going to provoke you, and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.
Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Welcome, 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 welcome to another episode of Saturday Night Live. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar, all right, aka Schoolie Red. And we are here finally. You feel me? We are finally here. Late night show. Nevertheless, you know what I mean? This is the way it has been ordained. All right. So we are here in the building. Shout out to everybody pulling up with us tonight on this ride that we're gonna take down memory lane. All right. This ride back down memory lane. I see you in the building, Mac. What up? Peace to the God. All right. Peace to the God. First and foremost, let me know how we sounding on the audio. Let me know how we sounding on this audio, y'all. All right. Okay. We clear? Awesome. Let's go ahead. You know what it is. Let's go ahead and do the roll call. If we want to, Mac, if you want to tap in and let the family know, give a review of the Dr. B Serious Lecture and Rich's Party, feel free to pull up. I'll send you I'll send you a link. Nashville, Tennessee in the building. Cincinnati, Ohio in the building. Queens in the building. Greenville, Mississippi in the building. Detroit is in the building. All right. Roxbury, Massachusetts up in this thing. Chi-Town up in this thing. Yeah, I'm talking about. Belize up in here. Belize. Shout out to the Belize family. Okay, you said you're moving to Brooklyn. Blessings. That's a good move right there. Coming to BK. BK is lit. You don't know? BK is lit, man. We got Hartford, Connecticut. Memphis in its thing. Shout out to Memphis. Shout out to Bridgeport. Shout out to New Orleans. Shout out to Bridgewater, Virginia. Shout out to the Virginia family. Las Vegas. Peace to the Las Vegas family. A small earthquake hit New Jersey around 10 p.m. I'm going to check into that. South Carolina in the building. Shout out to South Carolina. I thought I was gonna hear a bunch of West Coast. It's mad East Coast people up in here. This is the late night, great night. Well, it is Saturday Night Live, right? So we can't do Saturday Night Live at 2 p.m. You know what I'm talking about? I'm from the era that Saturday Night Live came on at 11 p.m. and it went into the like a.m. and whatnot, 1 a.m. This is the real Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live, y'all. California, Khalifa, Miami Beach. I see you. Whew. This one is gonna be a heavy one, y'all. This one is gonna be a heavy one, okay? I'm just giving y'all the heads up. This is going to be a trip down memory lane. But as you know, we are in retrograde. And retrograde is retrograding. You feel me? This retrograde is a little different, I would say. I would say it's a little different, you know? It's been feeling a little more intense than what I've been used to, you know what I'm talking about? So, this retrograde is retrograding, and everything is kind of like everything is going according to plans because there's a lot of retrograde activity. In particular, in my situation, I could speak on other people's situation, but I could speak on my situation with conviction because I'm the only one who actually knows what that situation is. And in my situation, I'm being affected in many ways through the retrograde. But the reflective aspect is what I want to point to. You know, there's been a lot of things going on, and a lot of my past. You know what I mean? Dealing with a lot of stuff from the past, and it culminated with the untimely demise of one of my day ones, somebody that was very, very instrumental in my quote unquote upbringing, you know, during what I would call my twin era, right? Not the red pill era, the twin era, you know what I mean? And that's like the years of 1993, 1994, 95, 90, going all the way up to like 2005, you know, 2000, 2005, because actually he was the one that he came to Miami and I left Miami and I came to New York and then pardon me. Getting caught up. I'm not getting all emotional. Don't worry about it. I'm just getting like something in my throat. But we're gonna go through. We're gonna get in a time machine. We're gonna get in the time machine. Somebody, I saw that. I gotta pull up the clip with the sun glitch yesterday. Do not allow me to finish this show talking about G Young, and we don't talk about how the sun glitched. Hold on a minute, because somebody sent me that, but I got a lot of DMs, so I'm not sure which one it is. Let me see if I saved it. Damn, I don't think it's in here. If anybody has that clip, if they could pull it up, that the sun glitched yesterday and they have all of the proof of it. Anyway, we got to strap ourselves in. We got to get in the time machine. We're going to jump in the DeLorean and we're going to go on a retrograde, because remember, the retrograde. Okay, you said you'll send it again? Thank you. I'm going to pull it up. The retrograde. Let's read about the retrograde. Let's get into this retrograde as we move forward so we can have a better understanding. What better place to get retrograde information than ChatGPT? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and I'm going to read the definition of some of this retrograde activity so we can have a better understanding as to what's going on, right? Without speculation or without me wasting 4 hours talking about this is happening, that's happening, that's happening, when it's all a result of the retrograde. It's all to be looked at through the lens of the retrograde rather than pointing out individual things that are happening. The majority of things that are taking place right now are all attached to these 5 planets that are in retrograde. Yeah, you said you can't wait to see the sun glitch. Yeah, I bet you can't. This retrograde has been felt heavy for me. That's what Ava Truth said. And ain't that the truth? You feel me? Ain't that the truth? This one right here, this retrograde right here, I'm feeling this shit already. I'm feeling the weight of it already. And it's screaming. You know, it has a similar message that we've heard many other times on many different occasions, and that message is ultimately the message is telling each one of us individually that we have to look within. You know, that we have to look within. That's where we have to do the work at. That's what it's ultimately dealing with. So let's get into this. Let me share the screen and let's get into all right. So help Mercury retrograde in Leo, right? So you have July the 18th to August 11th, 2025. Mercury is retrograding from roughly 15 degrees to 4 degrees Leo, a space tied to identity, creative expression, confidence, and the ego. It paired with an exact Mercury Sun Kazami in Leo on July the 31st, often seen as intense clarity or emotional confrontation, especially around identity and communication. Symbolically, this transit forces us to uncover buried truths, challenge self-deception, and confront past narratives. While not about literal death, it can represent metaphorical death, identity shifts, endings, of stories or relationships, even explosive revelations. Other retrograding planets in Leo context. Mercury isn't the only retrograde in play. Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron are also retrograding and are bound up in larger sign changes. Neptune and Saturn recently stationed in Aries. Pluto is retrograding in Aquarius, highlighting deep transformational forces. In particular, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius since May the 4th, 2025 is reshaping power dynamics, exposing hidden systems, right? Everybody's saying drop the list and everything. And it's demanding letting go or of transformation. For Leo placements, this touches partnerships, which is the seventh house, and often signifies release of what no longer works, including relational endings. Symbolism. Okay. Other retrograding planets in Leo context. Mercury isn't the only retrograde in play. Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron are also retrograding and are bound up in larger sign changes. Neptune and Saturn recently stationed in Aries. Pluto is retrograding in Aquarius, highlighting deep transformational forces. In particular, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. Okay, we went over that. Symbolism of sudden or highway deaths. Traditional astrology might associate sudden endings or accidents with Mars, right? Accidents, violence, sudden actions. Uranus, unexpected disruptions, challenging hard aspects between Mars slash Uranus and heavy bodies like Saturn slash Pluto. While Jupiter or Venus may soften energies, dominant tensions can signal danger zones. In the current patterns, Mercury retrograde distorts communication and travel logistics. Delays, misunderstandings, or technology issues could contribute to hazardous situations, i.e., travel interruptions, misrouting. The Uranus and Gemini wave. Communication, information, unexpected events is very activated right now. And paired with Mercury retrograde, it amplifies glitches or surprise in travel or messaging. This could symbolically connect to highway or transit based risks. Leo, Lions Gates, and the 5 retrograde. The Lionsgate portal peaks around August the 8th, spotlighting spiritual renewal, clarity, and rebirth, especially under the full moon in Aquarius on August 9th, paired with a minor grand sextile involving Venus and Jupiter. Mid-month shifts, August 11th onward, bring Mercury direct, followed by Venus entering Leo on August the 25th, reframing energy towards creativity, love, self-expression, and regeneration. Together, these monthly shifts create a narrative arc of inner crisis, awakening, rebirth. These are not direct omens of death, but they mirror transformational cycles, including endings and rebirths. So, what in the chart might persona see as death signals? Mercury retrograde, opposing travel and movement. Interfering with clarity can contribute indirectly to accidents or sudden losses tied to communication or transit. Uranus Mercury, loud surprises, paired with Pluto Saturn heaviness, points to destabilizations of revelations or endings. Pluto retrograde in Aquarius activates endings in relational or structural domains, especially for Leo placements in House 7, partnerships, or House 8, inheritance, death, transformation. Saturn, Neptune retrogrades in Aries bring harsh restructuring and test of agency, especially in contexts linked to masculinity, boundaries, and self-direction. None of these are explicit death portents, but astrologically they symbolize the kind of abrupt endings, shock, fate, or turning energy that can accompany sudden loss. So I was asking because the brother who lost his life, it was on a highway, right? But it wasn't a car on car accident, right? Somehow he was crossing a highway and, he got struck by a car. I have an uncle named Paul who lost his life like that when I was 8 years old. Very traumatic for both me and my twin, whose name is Paul, and that was our favorite uncle, right? Also killed on a highway in the byway. So I wanted to know what parts of the retrograde point to death on the highway, or that type of ending. So let me give you some of the sauce on what you do during a retrograde, and the fact that there's 5 planets in retrograde, why we may be experiencing nostalgia and people from our past and all type of things revisiting us. When retrogrades pull you back, retrogrades turn a planet's energy inward instead of pushing forward. The flow reverses, and we revisit, review, and reassess. I'm going to repeat that. Instead of pushing forward, the flow reverses, and we revisit, review, and reassess. Mercury retrograde in particular rules the mind, memory, communication, and stories. When it's retrograde, the mental Rolodex naturally opens. Old memories, conversations, and unfinished thoughts resurface. In Leo, which is July to August 2025, where we are right now, it emphasizes going back over past expressions of self. Listen, y'all. Listen clearly, because this is tonight's episodes. This is the opening monologue. Past expressions of self. Who was I then versus now? Understand this. This is going to be important. Past, this is right. So the practice tonight is to carry out the ritual of the retrograde, right? To be in alignment. To get into the DeLorean, Old creative projects or ideas. I'm literally looking at a book right now that has no room, no blank page, right? This book right here, this grimoire-like book right here, but this book right here, this book has no blank page. Everything is written, right? This has $1 billion worth of game, especially in the age of AI. All of this was written many, many years ago, but it is literally an IP's wet dream. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a patent. It's worth $1 trillion. Let's just say that. Old creative projects or ideas. It ain't like it just popped up. It's been here forever. I just happened to open it without even knowing this, and got into looking at some pages and was like, yo, I went ahead and took pictures of certain pages. Then when I went to the AI and I started prompting shit, all type of things came out of that. You feel me? I was like, oh, ish. If some of my scribbling, you know what I'm talking about? If some shit that I scribbled on a page is giving me return, like it's cooking. You know how the dope boys talk about they whipping the pot and the shit coming back? Well, that's what a good prompt is. You know what I mean? That's what using a good tool is, and putting a good piece of work in it. And you literally could spin gold like Rapunzel. So this is a time of abundance. We're going back into nostalgia, into our memory banks, into unfinished projects, into old rhyme books, into old projects, childhood / early life memories. Leo ties to inner child energy. So Brother Rich just did an event in Brooklyn at Nicholas with Dr. B Serious. Then he put on a ceremony where people dance and listen to music and whatnot, so they could tap into their childhood, early life memories. The inner child energy, that's healing. Past loves, friendships, and heart-based connections. Nostalgia and reflection. Reminiscing is not just common, it's productive during a retrograde. It's like the mind is syncing old files, rechecking what's important, and deciding what to carry forward. Past people might reappear. Calls, dreams, or literally reaching out on God and everything. I had the dream about the brother the night before he made transition on God. That's then, and the dream told me to go find him, you know? And then I was literally on live with Bitcoin Bully. It's filmed. And I got the DM. You know, when the notification pops up on your screen, I'm talking to Bitcoin, and then the notification pops up, G Young dead. And it was from one of my day ones, Tahoe. You know? So I'm still talking to Bitcoin Book. I'm like, yo, we doing pay me, pay me in crypto workshop is coming up. You know what I'm talking about? August. But it's even reinvigorating me to really push the workshop, because once again, time, like nothing is promised. Nothing is promised. You gotta have your shit completely together. There's like 4 major things that I feel everybody has to do, and make sure y'all have it right now. First and foremost, your autobiography. If you got that, if you got that story to tell, if you live that life, if you consider yourself a walking library, you gotta put that shit in some books, bro. You gotta tell your story. You cannot allow nobody to tell your story. Astaghfirullah. That is dangerous. Especially if you lived a life worth living. Like somehow, some way, documentary, book, or memoir. But your legacy has to be studied by others. It has to live on. You have to have multiple mediums in which you have put your, just depending on how, if you're a creative, if you're something like an author, if you're an artist. Nostalgia and reflection. The point isn't to stay in the past, but just to review it consciously. Retrogrades create a portal to revisit, extract a lesson, then move forward after the planet goes direct. Don't get stuck on the planet when it goes direct. So yes, retrograde, best time for mental time travel, deep journaling, revisiting old art, connecting with past versions of yourself, and nostalgia with purpose. That's what we're going to be doing tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. You know what I'm talking about? In perfect alignment with the retrograde. So we know what it is. We qualify it. We don't got to worry. We don't got to guess. You know what I'm talking about? That's why certain things are happening in your life, reappearing in your existence. Nostalgia with purpose. So I might scare you with some of these quote unquote pictures that you may see when I take you back into the trenches, into the underworld. Because the brother who made transition, he was a part of the underworld version of myself. He was actually the person who helped me get through the underworld. He was my guide through the underworld, like how Anubis is the guide through the underworld and whatnot. So pull this up. Did you drop that clip of the sun glitching? I've been building out and look. No, not Bully. Don't. His name is G Young. I was on Bully's live stream talking to Bitcoin Bully's audience, and I got a text on my IG DM, and it popped up on my notification while I was building with Bully about our upcoming workshop. the person that I'm referring to who made transition was not a part of the conscious community. He was not conscious. He was not a teacher. He was not a scholar. He was a part of an era of my life that I'm very well known for in a whole different niche or in a whole nother world or a whole nother constellation. And that's some street shit. But it's what's got me here. It's the reason why I'm here. You understand? And I'm going to go in a time machine and we're going to go down memory lane and we're going to have a therapeutic session because I haven't cried in a very long time and I needed to, you know, I needed to because I become so desensitized that I don't be crying and whatnot. You know, my heart is light as a feather, but you know, it's also been cold. It's you know, it's yeah, it's like this desensitized. It's numb. That's the word. It's been numbed. The transition of this brother who we're going to be speaking on. His name is Glenn Young, by the way. If anybody ever saw the documentary Soul in a Hole, he's in Soul in a Hole. When you had there was an elite squad of basketball players in the 90s who it was a elite. It was not just one of them. It was a lot of them, but they came from troubled backgrounds. These were like NBA prospects. He was one of them. You know, he was supposed to go to the league and he wound up going to jail for selling drugs. This was way back in the days. I didn't even know him then. I didn't even know the brother then. I met him when he came home. Any spamming in the chat, you will be on the blockchain. In the block, your ass will be on a retrograde a Greyhound bus to Blockonia. This is not one of these shows where I will entertain any type of weird energy as we go back in time. We can't afford that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be very transparent and bring people into my private world because at the end of the day, I don't really see any other teachers taking people into their private lives, into their quote unquote, you know, into their sacred spaces. So to share something that's very dear to my heart, which is, you know, the life that me and my brother shed blood for, shed tears for, sat down in jail cells for, fought the white man for, almost got killed for, you know, got stitches. Look at my stitches. I don't got no tattoos. I got stitches, bro. Like, these are my tattoos, bro. You know what I'm talking about? These are my tattoos. These are real, bro. This brother, he helped me move through rooms full of vultures. You know? We both helped each other move through rooms full of vultures. We survived a lot of stuff just to make it to this point in life. And my people, you know, he lost his life on the highway. You feel me? He lost his life on the highway. And that's just crazy to me. But I know it's symbolic. You know? But we are in the retrograde. So nothing is, you know, the retrograde is retrograding. So tonight's episode is livicated, of course, to my PIC, my partner in crime, one of my ace boon coons, my good brother G Young, aka Lucky Lefty, aka Glenn Young, out of Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And he's been living in Atlanta ever since we all came down here in 1997. Now, the significance of him and my storyline, right? And just, what it mean, how he helped to shape a lot of my quote unquote young adulthood. When I came to Atlanta in 1997, that's considered the beginning of a whole nother era in my existence, or in my quote unquote, and who I am, or my story, or my chapter, or my hero's journey. And it was a 3-man team that came down here in 1997. We were all from Brooklyn. Two people were from Bed-Stuy, and one person was from Flatbush. Back in those days, that wasn't even heard of, because when people talk about New York, I want y'all to look at New York in terms of kingdoms. Like, I want you to look at it like Game of Thrones. There's Kings County, which is Brooklyn, but it's not one kingdom. It's broken up into different kingdoms. Those different kingdoms have castles and forts. Those different kingdoms would be areas like Crown Heights, Flatbush, Brownsville, East New York. You know what I mean? Those are different kingdoms within the kingdom, Kings County. But those kingdoms don't get along, and you just can't walk into any kingdom. At least back in the days. I got to speak on, remember, we already went into the DeLorean. We are no longer using context of 2025, 2020, 2000. We have erased all of every single context that exists. There's no internet. There's no cell phones. None of these things exist. When we arrive into Atlanta, it does not look anything like the Atlanta of today. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. The Atlanta that exists today, that is all about designer wares, clothing, all of this club thing, and that Atlanta was not here when we got here. There was a party Atlanta, there was the 112 Atlanta, there was the get down. They was turning up. It was lit. Let's be clear. And it was also about flossing, getting to it, and it was about getting fly. Let's not say that wasn't the case. But what I'm talking about is where it is today, where it's about Gucci, Louis, Fendi, the things that the boosters get, the things that the people from a certain type of borough, have exported to these areas. That had a lot to do with the explosion of the boosters and people who are in the underworld out there. This started to really pick up when these 3 individuals, Burger Billions, G Young, and Twin, came out to Atlanta. Okay. Then the type of things that we did, from the years of 1997 to about 2000 are literally lore out here. Okay. So A.A. Rashid, this is a picture of us in a tunnel in 1994 or 5. I believe it's 1995 and whatnot. This was us in a tunnel. Like I was explaining, these are Bed-Stuy dudes. I'm a Flatbush dude. So they were the ones who actually opened up their kingdom to allow me and my brother to come into Bed-Stuy and to be able to exist amongst the wolves, be able to move around in that kingdom untouched, unscathed. You know what I'm saying? Not having to carry blickies and whatnot to protect ourselves, and not even looking over our shoulders. These brothers were like the key maker in a matrix. right? The same way that we did for them in Flatbush, where they could come into our kingdom and they were protected and they was okay. They didn't have to worry about getting robbed and stripped, because that's what was going on back then. This show is sponsored by Yapit Plus and KTL Plus. Connect to your city. We need everybody on this live who sees this replay. I need y'all to sign up to our Yapit site. And we also need you to sign up to Connect to your city so you can watch KTL on your Roku, your Apple TV, and whatnot. I do have a QR code. I'm going to put it up before the show is over. Now, Know the Ledge, the brand Know the Ledge. We represent what we say we represent. When we started this brand back in the days in New York City, on the streets of Harlem and in the streets of Brooklyn, we had heroes. We had heroes, and we always wanted to meet our heroes. And once again, putting things into context, back in those days, they have thousands of artists now. That wasn't the case back then. It was a selected few. Okay, it was a selected few. So a brother like Rakim, when we were able to meet him, hold on, do y'all see the Rakim picture? Okay, I see the rap. Cool. We are the same age group. We are 70s babies, right? Me and Blue are 75. You got your Pay Me in Crypto early bird ticket. Salute everybody who got the early bird tickets for Pay Me in Crypto. Put a scorpion emoji in the chat. Spam the chat with either the money bag or the scorpion emoji. Yes. So Rakim is the one who sings the song Know the Ledge, right? That's where Know the Ledge comes from, the God. And back then the God was significantly very important to all of us. So that's one of my heroes. And to meet my hero and to be saluted by my hero, you feel me? Like, that was a touchdown. This was in like 2008. We was able to bless him with some t-shirts. I hope he has them somewhere saved up. Classic. But yeah, that was a moment for us right there. We with the God, Rakim, God MC, right? Me and this man right here, we have been through so many different quote unquote so many different lifelines, I would call it, or so many different eras and whatnot. We've seen a lot. This right here will be around around probably 1999, when we were sharing with the family that we got chosen to get taken out of the streets and to be put into the modeling agency by Mike Tyson's sister, who goes by the name of Jackie Rowe. Okay. And she wanted us to get into acting. She wanted us to get into modeling. She just basically wanted to get us out of the streets, right? She wanted to save us from destroying ourselves and basically throwing our talents away. Okay. Because we were in the stores and we were around a lot of dark people. We were around a lot of dark individuals. We were the hero twins in the mythos who were in the underworld. We were going through our rites of passage. We were a little bit, on our hero's journey. And our hero's journey. Do y'all see the picture where it's me and Blue? Or the one with Rakim? Because I've already changed the picture. Do you see the picture where we got the iceberg on? It's still showing a Rakim pic. Okay, hold on. with the blood clot. Give me a minute. Let me export this keynote. Give me a minute. Let me do something. We got to do something better with the. Give me 1 second. Matter of fact, while I do this, we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna play some sponsorships. And we'll be right back.
What is infinite treasures? Like all things born out of the genius of necessity, infinite treasures in the spirit of the ancient earthkeeper tradition of Kephara, the scarab beetle. We gather all manner of earth relics, high energy hand-picked crystals, stones, minerals, and pure metals, and weave them into sacred geometric forms that elevate consciousness. 30 years of research and development have revealed secrets to creation. Sacred geometry is the structured form of mathematics that brings about manifestation. Laws that manifest on Earth can also transcend through space and time.
Trumpet sounds of golden harps. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning.
Definition of a crystal: order, symmetry at the biological level. Melanin is a complex crystalline biopolymer. It is found in the nuclei of all cells, and concentrations of melanin may be found in the brain. Melanin is that X factor that opens up those subtle realms and means of communication. Again, intuition, clairvoyance, clairaudience. Yes, I.
Crystal balls of lightning, thunder in different sort, 4 and 20 Haitians around this. It was very cloudy, earthquake over the north and the south side, seraphim thrones and
Yes. All right. I am still waiting for the video to finish loading up. But as we wait for it, in the meantime, between time, I'm still going to go ahead and share the screen. We'll pull that up. Champions. Shout out to Infinite Treasures, y'all. That's my jam right there. Champion songs. So what we're doing here, along with going down memory lane, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm literally prepping my biography. And I'm also putting it on blockchain, right? I'm also, quote unquote, making content with it. So, I could use the text or the transcript of this video to incorporate it into my documentary when I'm putting it together. And also by putting pictures up there, because I've had an experience where I lost a cache of memorabilia, and I wish I would have captured it on film or, had backup of it. So this sometimes is like backup and whatnot. Everything that I put in this project called Scorpion King, which is a classical project that actually is embarking on a 10-year anniversary. Scorpion King came out in 2016, and 2026 will mark the anniversary for our album Scorpion King. Okay, so look at it. This. There you go. Was y'all seeing this the whole time? Was the Scorpion King CD showing the whole time? I just want to know. So a lot of the music that you hear on Scorpion King, it comes from this era that we're about to go through right now that I'm showing you. It all, it all stems from this era that I'm referring to, that the brother G Young is a large part of, okay, in my travels or in my journey. That's where a lot of the Scorpion King material was derived from that era. I'm rapping from the perspective of twin, and even this jewel of an album right here, you know what I'm saying? Even this album right here, Twin, this is undoubtedly, you know, old. That this is me and Blue Pill paying respect and paying an ode to the era that we would call the tunnel era, 1991, 1990 to 2000. About, yeah, up to that part. I would just say from 1990 to like 2000, 2005. That's the twin era, you know? And when we make our music, like the Retrograde speaks about healing your childhood, speaking from, you know, letting that inner child breathe, allowing your memories to quote unquote express themselves in a poetic way, an artistic way. You know, that's what you're getting with these art projects, these art pieces that me and my brother have put together, because look, we are naturally artists, you know. It's something that we've been doing, and every approach is from an artistic approach. You feel me? From the clothing to the music, it's all still expressions of the art. You know, the food, the art, the clothes, the technology, the shelter, moorland. That's facts. You know what I'm saying? So once again, I've been preparing myself for this time that we're in right now, where the art can come to life and it could do what it needs to do. These characters have whole storylines, epics attached to them. You know what I mean? They have worlds that they belong to. You know, this is my childhood. This is how I'm able to complete my childhood. These are some of the things that people who are not here right now, they don't have the pleasure of even being able to do things like this. So it's imperative that we do what we got to do while we can do it. Okay. I was able to elevate myself, right, throughout the years, coming from the place that I came from, coming from the situation that I came from, coming from the background that I came from. Because keep in mind, I'm never going to paint a picture on some old, I was just living in this dangerous life. And it was no. My life was great. You know what I'm saying? And people around me have been great. And it's only gotten greater, being around, being able to do radio shows, interviewing Dick Gregory, being a part of monumental movements and whatnot, global movements, putting on for our people, going from a street thug, to a world shaker and mover, a pillar, right? So sometimes, and once again, just a reminder, me and Blue come from an artistic background. We pay attention to the detail. We know we have the fantasy complex industry in our genes. So we're here to animate things. We're here to bring things to life. We're here to tell stories and to create more and more and more and more art, right? So the power is in the people, and the people have the power, right? And we've been in this community, helped build this community, and helped to facilitate many of the unifying events like the ones that you're seeing right now. Because keep in mind, right, there were times where these pictures could not be taken because there was a lot of disunity, and all of those potentials that you see in these pictures were beefing with one another, broken apart, infiltrated. It took a lot of work to bring people into these rooms together to even get pictures like this, right? Salute to Mama Pill first and foremost. There would be no red pill, no blue pill, no KT the Arch degree. The amount of joy that I got just knowing that I was able to clean my act up and put on for my mama. You feel me? And put on for my mother. This is her dream. This is what she started doing when we was babies. She was already doing lectures, hitting the road, setting shit up, rolling around with Sabi. This the 80s. So we saw this as cubs. We supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, this is who we do it for. This is who we do it for. Okay. This is also going to be talked about on Tuesday, y'all. On Tuesday, I'm going to be on King Simon's show. We're going to go into the time machine. So this is the warm-up. But I'm going to have an episode called Today's Consciousness and the Conscious Community Presents Red Pillar. What happened and how could we change it or heal it? So that's another retrograde show where the numerovation man, we get to go back in time in the, into the DeLorean, because he was there and he saw a lot of stuff, right? So as we get into the time machine and go back into the early 90s, I want to get out in 1992, right? Which was a very instrumental year, okay? Very instrumental year, you know. This was the pivot year. This was considered to be a pivot year. Why? Because in 1993, everything really switched up. You feel me? Like shit really took off. That's when big and the whole, you know, that's when hip hop, you know, and the streets, they just began to really start to pivot. So 1992, we was outside. This is called a meow, when we would go out on a mission to hit the spots and get that money and whatnot. This is us in the tunnel in 1995. A.A. Rashid was not known as A.A. Rashid. He was known as Ching Bing back then. You know, he was known as Ching Bing. Everything in this mixtape, Batman Mafia, is all coming from this era. I understand everything that he's talking about because he's also speaking from his childhood experiences and getting his therapy through his art. But yeah, Mosai Mooley remix that actually came out today, I believe. I went on my Facebook and they showed me a reminder. But this is a classic album, Batman Mafia, A.A. Rashid's first project. As you could see with my day ones, going back into my underworld days, one of the only, you know, the person who's there with me is A.A. Rashid. I have kinship and friendship and camaraderie, and I salute a lot of people in this community. But A.A. Rashid is the closest one to me and Blue and KT. He's the one that's the closest. He knows my mother, Mama Pill. We was, you know, we were locked in way before this conscious community thing. So, and A.A. Rashid was really outside. Like really, really, he might have been outside more than me and Blue. Facts. He might have been outside more than me and Blue. And he got 10 years for this, for being outside. That's not blue. That's red in these two pictures. That's me in these two pictures. That ain't blue. Okay. AA was a wild boy back then. That's all I gotta say. When I say a wild boy, I'm gonna say a wild boy. Yeah, you see me with the Jansport, with the Janny, right? This is Duck from Red Hook, the brother sitting on a chair, one of the illest boosters to walk this planet. And anybody in the game knows who Duck is, right? Duck is from Red Hook. And the other brother with the black leather on and the blue hoodie, that's Conflict Loren, aka Del Fisher. And everybody knows who Del is. He's he's a legend. Everybody in these pictures are legends. Everybody in these pictures are legends. I promise you. You feel me? I promise you. No, this is G Young. The picture that you see where it says 1995, that's the brother who just made transition standing next to me. That's G Young. That's not blue. That's G Young. And that's me, who's lighter. That's red, and that's G Young, or twin back then. There's no red pill back then. There's twin. They called me twin back in those days. Right? And that's A.A. Rashid when he was Chingbing. He wasn't A.A. Rashid. He wasn't the Kabbalah god. This is the era that we are going to be speaking of today. This is the era that these pictures and quote unquote G Young. This is the era that he comes out of, the Biggie era. We all lived around. Biggie is from Nostrand, or rather Clinton Hills. And G Young is from Nostrand. He's in this documentary right here called Soul in the Hole. So if you ever saw Soul in the Hole, then G Young is in there. You'll see him in there. He was a top baller, and he used to ball with this dude right here named Booger, who was probably the nicest dude in all of Brooklyn, but he was so gangster that he couldn't stay out the streets. And this is also the era of the polo, or what they would call the lowlives. So what we represented as boosters is the lowlives. They represented the 80s and everything. But the new boosters, we wasn't lowlives. We were the next generation after the lowlives. Like, we looked up to the lowlives, Frankie Boo. But then the whole lowlives thing came to an end when a brother named Kiki got killed. And they blamed Frankie Boo or Ralph Lowe on, and that was kind of like the beginning of the end of that. So just adding some context to what it is that you're seeing, right? So this is him right here. This is the brother that I'm speaking of who made transition. The brother's name is Glenn Young. I believe he was 51. You feel me? And yeah, that's one of my day ones. Like I said, when I came to Atlanta, it was 3 of us, and he was one of the 3. The other brother, his name is Berger, and he's locked up right now. Okay, but he'll be home soon. As a matter of fact, I've been able to build with the brother over the phone, and just to show you how this thing works. Real quick, I've been building with my other brother over the phone, and just to show you how friends work with each other. This is the first draft of Berger's documentary, right? This is the first draft of the brother's life story, right? And I couldn't put it down. I read it from front to back. The brother has a story. He has the greatest story never told, right? Now, I don't have no cold or allergy. I was smoking some runts, and I've been crying. You know what I'm talking about? I've been emoting, but I don't have a cold or allergy. This is going. I told my bro. I said, bro, you gonna come home to $1 million straight like that. You finna come home to $1 million. Keep writing. Keep writing. I said it before and I'm gonna say it again. If somebody's locked up right now, they got the opportunity to create IP. They got the opportunity to get on AI. They got the opportunity to vibe code. They got the opportunity to you know, they got the opportunity to trade crypto. They got the opportunity to do day trading. They got the opportunity to do some DeFi. They got the opportunity to do FanDuel, to be sports betting. They could be getting to so much money. They could get on ChatGPT and create books. They could get on Firebase and they could create apps. You feel me? This is where people who have time on their hands and they have access to devices and they have access to laptops or tablets, this is what they should be doing with their time. So what I really always wanted to do with some of my day ones is get them to write their life story and help them with the publishing and help them put their books out and whatnot. Because me living, I know what their lives are like. I know what their lives are like. They might have lived. We all went our separate ways, and we all have lived many. I've lived like 8 lives already. I lived about 8 or 9 different lives and whatnot. But I know that my peoples, they have lived 9 lives and on. You know what I mean? Like type of stories that they would be able to share with the world about their journey. But fear not. You don't always have to tell your story. I'm gonna tell his story for him. It ain't gonna be an autobiography, but it will be a biography. But his story is gonna be told. No, we're not gonna forget about Young. You know what I mean? That's the most I could do more. I'm gonna do more for him, but the least I'm gonna do for the good brother is make sure that his story is told, and and people know about him. You know, a good brother. If you knew Young, you know what I'm saying. He's not as mean as he might look. He was a good brother. You know what I mean. But he lost his mother in around 2000, in the mid 2000s, I believe. And I know the brother personally. I know that shit hurt him, hurt his heart. This is them in Best Style, right? Once again, the ritual is to keep your name alive, right? The ritual is to keep your name alive. So if they got to put the graffiti up, if they got to build a statue, if they got to carve something in the side of a mountain, if they got to turn a tree into a goddamn a display, you should do everything in your power to keep your name alive. So the fact that they putting his name on the sidewalk and the street, that not only did he walk, but he had some control in, that's what the hood is. This is Best Style. So this is what they doing for him in his neighborhood. If you ever heard of NA Rock, that's Notion Ave. That's right near Nicholas, coincidentally enough, right around the corner from where Nicholas is. You feel me? So that's fly. I like hood ceremonies. I respect hood rituals. How the hood does it. Bobby Hemmett explained to us how that's in alignment and whatnot. Henceforth, why I loved Bobby's teachings and I gravitated to his message because his message is very hood friendly. You know what I mean? It's trench friendly. He helps you see things for what it is, you know, not in an uppity type of manner. But salute to the hood for keeping for showing his brother love, because I promise you, he showed a lot of love. He did a lot of inspiring things in Bed-Stuy on Nostrand, owned cleaners, you know, barbershop stores, help people, you know what I mean? So this is the story that we woke up to on August the 1st. All right. My dude Tahoe and then Shiki, she hit me with this story. 2 people killed in pedestrian accidents on I-95. 2 men were hit and killed while trying to cross I-85 South Thursday night, according to the Atlanta police. You feel me? Yeah, I don't know the story. I don't know exactly why the brother would be, you know, crossing the highway. I don't know if he was being chased. I don't know. But I do know that 2 people are, you know, it was, you know, put it like this. To wake up and hear that somebody took my man, my people's, you know what I mean? Like to hear that somebody took my man's lifeline and whatnot, that would have been horrific to me versus, you know, there was an accident, if you know what that means, if you could understand that perspective. You feel me? Like I said, I hadn't seen my peoples in years. There was definitely struggles that he was going through. You feel me? Like I said, a lot of the people who I grew up with, everybody's going through their own, they bearing their own crosses. And where I'm from, people that's hitting 50, you know, they've been tested multiple times. And if you make it to 50, man, congratulations, King. You know what I'm saying? Like you are literally, you beat the odds, whoever you are. You beat the odds. Like you should take a day to celebrate that. You feel me? Because that shit is not something that's guaranteed right now. Especially if you can make it to 50 and look good for your age, like, and feel good for your age. You theoretically are winning. Theoretically, you're like a high valued man, bro. Well, let's check this retrograde. Let's talk about this retrograde real quick.
So Saturn is entering retrograde on July 13th until November 27th. Let's talk about it because this one about to get deep. So this retrograde is going to start off in Aries and is going to initially shift into Pisces. Baby, that means the universe is coming to collect. Not just from your enemies, but from you too. Okay, so this is not punishment. This is divine balance. So Saturn is the ruler of karma, discipline, responsibility, and time. So that means whatever you've been avoiding, whatever you've been half-assing, whatever you've done that was not in your soul's alignment, yeah, it's all coming back around. But if you've been growing, healing, and staying silent even when it's hard, you're about to get blessed in ways that you forgot to even pray about. So this is not the time to fear this season. Saturn retrograde is here to mature your soul, to close out those karmic contracts, to show you that alignment is louder than potential. You don't get what you want, you get what you vibrate at. The universe is watching and karma never forgets. Act accordingly.
Are y'all hearing it only through the headphones, or is it a good audio on that? I don't know.
Listen, we are all about
to be pushed out of our comfort zone starting on July 13th because Saturn, our planet of boundaries and restrictions, is going retrograde in the sign of Aries. And let me tell you, when Saturn is retrograde, it offers us the opportunity to be very introspective, to pay close attention to ourselves and aspects of our boundaries and restrictions that we may need to release because it's no longer aligned with our wellness. But when we have Saturn retrograde in Aries, our cardinal fire sign ruled by Mars, our planet of action, it's going to look like our comfort zone, our boundaries and restrictions being challenged and us being forced to move out of our comfort zone in order to elevate. What you'll be forced to pay attention to in your life are the boundaries and restrictions that you are holding on to that are rooted in trauma. Sometimes we create certain boundaries, restrictions, and certain disciplines for ourselves that are based in trying to survive trauma. But if you want to move out of survival mode and really step into thrive mode, you need to release some of the self-imposed boundaries, restrictions, and discipline tactics that help you to survive but stop you from thriving. Now, we also have Neptune retrograde in Aries with this Saturn retrograde. That Neptune retrograde is leading us to have a lot of spiritual revelations, a lot of dreams, especially about what our next steps need to be in life. It's forcing us to pay attention from a spiritual perspective because Neptune is our planet of dreams and spirituality. So it's showing us the spiritual aspects of ourselves that we need to work on and what we may need to do to get to our next level. That Saturn retrograde is going to tell you what boundaries and restrictions you may need to release to get to your next level. So Neptune retrograde and Saturn retrograde will work together in the sign of Aries to help you get where you need to be, but it might lead you to being a bit uncomfortable. Don't tap into the Aries side that's a bit combative because we know Aries don't play, honey. Don't play, so don't play with them, all right? They ain't with none of it. Don't tap into the Aries energy that's going to make you want to not give your buck, okay? Really take this as an opportunity and a challenge to be introspective, to step out of your comfort zone and release anything that is not aligned with your wellness, especially when it comes to boundaries and restrictions. I also want to say, be mindful that both Saturn and Neptune retrograde will move into Pisces. Saturn retrograde is going to move into Pisces around August. That is going to bring some ease to these challenges. Pisces is a beautiful water sign, so more about flow and ease, okay? So this energy is going to ease up in August. But right now, starting July 13th, through the fire, okay? Through the fire, honey, because Aries energy, once again, they don't play, so don't play with them. It's going to feel like more of a challenge than what it actually is, but the challenge is not external, it's internal. Release your survival mode so that you can step into your thrive mode. It's elevation season, baby. Get with it.
You heard what she said. Yeah. So here's some pictures of my boy, G Young. That's his beautiful daughter and whatnot. That's his beautiful daughter right there. That's him with Jadakiss and Little C's. Like I said, he was tapped in with Big and them, Best Eye, Junior Mafia. Yeah. Some pictures with him and Ruggs, BK Roy. If y'all know, y'all know. Right? And the aspect of this, this retrograde once again, and also losing somebody that is very close to me and whatnot, it just put me back in the mind state. Today I was going through just all of the people that I lost. You know what I mean? Like all of the people from my generation that we've been losing. And just coming to terms of where a lot of this trauma that I have come from. The fact that, and the weird thing about it, it's not like we was in a war on some drill shit. You feel me? It ain't like I'm losing people to in a war. Like we got ops and shit like that, and they knocking people off. Nah, it's like people are losing them. There's just all different occasions, but there's a lot of people who are close, who have been close to me, or just people who I've come across. But one thing about my generation is that it's very morbid. It's very morbid. There's a lot of death surrounding my generation. We lost a lot of good people along the way. I could definitely say that, and people that y'all call unks and schoolies and whatnot, a lot of them are numb from whatever they went through and all of the loss that they experienced at an early age and shit like that. When women say that people are emotionally unavailable or like people be drifting off, and I be like, yo, I don't be drifting off. I be talking to all of my dead homies. Theoretically, I'm not drifting off, but I'm definitely having conversations with dead people. So I be in this world. I be in the astral realm. I be in the spirit world, and I be on the phone. So you damn right. A nigga could be aloof, but I'm not daydreaming. I'm speaking to the spirits. I might be stuck because I'm just speaking to the spirits. But I got a lot of people around me. I got a lot of spirits of a lot of the. I got armies of people who I grew up with who are no longer there. This is Tabari Culpepper right here, one of my best friends, one of my day ones. He was a real one, you know what I'm talking about? He would definitely go out on a limb for me and Blue, and he proved it to us on many occasions. He lost his life in 1999, mysteriously too, at college. I don't even know the whole story, but I know that was a good dude. All right. This brother right here, this was one of my first tragic losses. This is one of my ultimate day ones, Tone Capone. This brother is Haitian. We were out at Flatbush together. Yeah, and he lost his life in 1994. A shooting in front of Macy's downtown. One of his ops, actually a Decepticon. It's a long story, but we will cover it. His name will never be forgotten as long as I'm alive. This is us in the train station in 1991. My bro Danny right there. Blue, Akil, Julian. We on Cortelia Road. Right? This is me in 1993. This is around the same time that I met G Young. This would be around that time. We were introduced by one of my other homies that's no longer here. His name is Disco, aka Darian. Rest in peace. Yeah. So, ironically enough, my dad, right? My dad, who's right here in the picture on the right, and he's wearing a polo jacket, right? My dad was one of the first ones to introduce us to polo. You know what I'm talking about? And he would take us to Bloomingdale's and Macy's, and he would be, he'll be buying this shit. You know what I mean? So we thought he was very cool because I'm like, my dad, he be rocking polo, and my OGs, you know what I mean? Polo was a status symbol for hood niggas. So it was a gift and a curse because the first time he tells us we can't get something or he's not gonna buy it, we like, oh, word? Oh, okay, no problem. We got something for that. And then next thing you know, we in the mall stealing the shit. You know what I mean? And that didn't work out too well. But it was fun when it lasted, you know, cotton reparations, living life on the edge. It was an exercise in futility. It was an exercise in trying to disappear around white folks. It was an exercise in me exercising my middle finger to be an anti-establishment. It was an exercise in cotton reparations. It was an exercise in, you know, doing some Theo Huxtable um, on Theo Huxtable on runts or something. You know what I mean? Like this dresser, the you said that you see that dresser right there, the wooden one. Yeah, that was like Fort Knox. That shit had so many pieces inside of it, bruh. That dresser, I could sell everything inside of that dresser on eBay and go and buy a house with it for real. This is my boy Alf. Alf, shout out to Alf. Anybody saw the Tunnel DVD? Alf is the head of the security guard, or he's down with the security team. Another one of my peoples who made transition, Prince, the dude with the knitted polo crest. They murdered him for his for a PlayStation. You know, polo pieces. I think this was Virginia Beach. We went to Virginia Beach in 1993 and whatnot. This is Blue back in the days. This is some early Blue pictures. As you can see, Blue always had that shit on. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Don't let Blue fool you like he the quiet type and he was the innocent one. Do not let don't let your boy fool you. So this is me and Blue in our early smokes and stacks shit. The brother that you see next to us, that was our best friend, Akil, aka Birdman. Very instrumental in my story too. Another very, very instrumental person. And he's the period of when I called my name was Phil Figure and Wisdom. And Blue's name was Felony. This is another era before the twin era. Right? But that's my guy right there. So to go through all of this, to live through all of this, and to be a part of all of this life, right? And to survive the 90s and, you know, and have a great time, to end up right here, you know, this is a hell of a journey and it's a story that needs to be told. So I'm just giving y'all a little bit of, you know, of just a tidbit, a sneak peek of what this story is gonna be about. This is the greatest story never told. I promise you. I got mad pictures, bro. You know what I'm talking about? This is the greatest story never told. You know, I figured it out. That's the key to life. Because I'm looking at people who are making transition and I'm saying, what's the one thing that they would have did if they had one more day? They would write their story. They would write their story. They would tell their story. They would shoot their movie. They would leave something behind that's going to live longer than them. That is the cheat code. If you don't do that, you are doing yourself a huge disservice. And now the perk of it all is that you have automated machines and algorithms that will help you do it. Won't give you no back talk. Won't tell you when I'll do it when I don't feel like it. They'll get on it right away. So I met Kool Herc. Hey, Rashid said, I done met Stevie. I met Kool Herc, my nigga. I met Stickman. Do you know what Dead Prez was to the hood, bro? I don't really think people understand. I tried to explain it before that before Dead Prez and Stickman started going vegan and they became a little less threatening. They had niggas on that. They had a whole mystique to them, and people, they rock. Dead Prez had they was that shit, bro, back then. And the bars was crazy. 1992, this is us on a meow. Before we used to go on what is called a meow. A meow is a mission. Everybody went out, but not everybody came back. You understood going out on a meow that you might not come back. You would have your starter kit, you know what I mean? Your meow starter kit consisted of a razor blade. You had to have a razor blade either in your sneaker sole, or inside of your quote unquote basketball shorts that you wear underneath your pants. What was that razor blade used for? That razor blade was literally the emergency brake that you would have to use in case you had to cut your fingerprints up if it got to that, right? Also, what was mandatory is $1,000 to $1,500 that you would carry on yourself in your pencil pocket or in a stash, because literally if you went out of town, you would have to have bail money on you. Okay. Another essential is that you had to have somebody sitting by a phone with your fake name, your fake birthday, and everything to match your fake ID. So when you get locked up, you say that you're a minor. They call somebody in New York. They get permission to let you go and write you up, and then you're out of there. But if nobody answers the phone and gets your name right, your ass is grass. That's how the meows and the things were set up. It was an organized type of thing. And we caused we caused, we made, and we didn't do running out of stores. That was not, please understand what you see on TV these days with Rat Packs and all of that shit they do in LA. That's not the New York, that wasn't the Flatbush way. That wasn't the some people might have did that though. Let me not act like that wasn't happening, but that was really frowned upon where I'm from. Let's be clear. That was not that wasn't gangster at all. That was hot. That was unprofessional. That was thirsty. Nobody rewarded you for doing no dumb shit like that. I want y'all to understand that. The key was to make it out the store undetected. You don't want to make yourself hot. You don't want to push anybody, because that's a robbery that turns from a grand larceny or a petty larceny into a R1, and you don't want that. But we was not fighting nobody at the door. If we had to, we would. Like, let's be clear, the lowlifes were known for cutting, stabbing, ice picks, and all of that to the security. You protect yourself. It's a jungle out there. You know what I'm talking about? Coming through the 90s, coming through the jungle, you know what I mean? Not only were we dressing up like the huntsmen, my nigga, we was out there, we was out there holding ourselves, you know what I mean? Surviving this shit. Hunger Games, nigga. Hunger Games. So this is the gang right here. Half of these people are no longer with us. The brother to the far left, that's the brother named Disco, who coincidentally, when I went into Bed-Stuy, I wasn't with Blue Pill. I think he was either locked up or he was not around. So I literally went from Flatbush to Bed-Stuy, and they used to call me Twin, but I didn't have a twin with me. So they thought that me and Darian were twins. So for about a year or two, everybody thought this was my twin right here, Disco. Not everybody, but it was kind of like we were very close. You know what I mean? He was a great brother. His family open arms. They treated us like family members. The brother to my right is Burger. That's Burger Billions, the one with the burger. Everybody in Atlanta knows Burger. Okay, Burger is very famous in all of the underworld circles. The other dude is Big Man. Shout out to Big Man. These two down here, that's Poop Man, that's right in front of me. He's one of my friends that made transition in 2019, right before COVID, one of my day ones. And my other brother, Cliff, who made transition in the 90s. This is also a brother that was very close to me. We used to go on meows together, and he was just close. We was just locked in. He made me his godfather. I'm the godfather of his daughter and whatnot. So that one hurt as well. And that's Duck right there. Here goes Duck and Poop Man. Poop Man had just touched back down and whatnot. Yeah. 1993, another pick, another picture right here. With the gang. That's Poop Man again. Sport Low, the infamous. Anybody in Brooklyn or anybody in the Bloods? Yeah, I know about Bloodsport, and that he was named Sport Low back then. There goes Conflict back there, who's also a Blood. There goes Alpha, me and Blue with the Indian heads. Ugh. Yeah. And Poop Man, rest in peace. This is me in Greensboro in 1993 on the bike. We was out there with a kingpin named Big D. And then that's where I met Coach Kayer. Coach Kayer was a D-boy. He was a D-boy with the kingpin out there. You know what I'm saying? This is us again. I think we was in either the tunnel or we was in the arc. That's Blue Pill when he just came home. As you can see, he's a little brolic and whatnot. I think we in the arc right here. They go Poop Man again, rest in peace. And they go Darian right next to me and there's Burger behind me and whatnot. So this is us and this is literally the heights of us in our young adulthood, literally living a life that we created for ourselves, completely living out the lyrics of every single rapper from really Biggie was the one back then, but everybody was dropping heat. You know what I mean? Everybody, we was in. When I say we was in too deep, we was in too deep. They are going 2/5, later in life. This right here is the year 2000. I remember we shared with y'all that me and Blue, we were models, right? We won a modeling contest with I think it was WBLS. But who's my dude right there? Somebody would know him, right? He's a radio personality. So we won a prize $2,500. You know what I'm saying? We had the photo shoot and everything. They did the photo shoot for us. This is actually the magazine right here called Inner City with Maya on the cover from the year 2000, summer 2000. That's summer 2000. That's the modeling pictures. Then this is me in the year 2003. Before I moved to Miami, I literally used to live I used to live in Manhattan on 61st Street between 3rd and Lexington. And my girlfriend right here, she used to bartender at Scores around the corner, which is it's a strip club, but the mob and all of them be there. But, she was just a bartender. She's an actress. You know what I mean? It's my little Capricorn. That was Bay right there. And my rent used to be $2,700, right? And I was explaining to somebody the other day, I was like, because I went from this situation with my shorty right here to going to Miami to work for Pitbull. And what happened, the Pitbull play was very important. And that's also a different arc in my life because literally they were like, yo, we're trying to get you out of the streets and we want you to come and be a stylist. Now, once again, I got to put the context of what time this is because we're in 2025. Being a stylist in 2003, that shit was not like the streets wasn't respecting that. Because remember, I'm still in the streets at this point. So they're like, you going to be a stylist, nigga, to dress niggas? And I'm like, bro, I'm going to be able to make money dressing an artist. And niggas in the street was like, nah, bro, you can make more money dressing yourself. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it was really frowned upon. Nobody was really happy that I was going to be Pitbull's fucking stylist. Niggas was like, you're bugging. You got too much motion to be going to be a stylist. But I left my $2,700 a month apart. I was still paying rent there because she was living in New York. And I went to Miami with a vision. And by going out there, I learned how to make clothes because before that, I didn't know how to make clothes. Before I went to Miami, I was not into no type of independent anything. I was not about to stand outside and sell shit, bro. I was twin, you know what I mean? Like I was paying I used to have my rent was $2,700. I could get that in one day. That was a good day. You know what I'm talking about? So there wasn't no struggle. I was, you know what I mean? I was considered to be a rich nigga back then. On rich nigga terms. I'm a street, nigga rich. You know? So taking that chance to go to Miami to work for somebody when back in those days we wasn't working for people, you know what I'm saying? It was like, all right, do your thing. And I came back to New York in 2005, and that's when I went to Harlem, right? And this is me with the Pitbull thing right here. Well, this is Blue and Mama Pill around the same time. This is Blue and Mama Pill, who was always supportive of anything that I had to do. You know what I'm saying? She never told me, if she told me don't do something, 9 times out of 10, I didn't do it. But my mother was always involved in every aspect of a lot of the things that we've done, the good things, of course. But, when we go to Miami, she'll come to Miami and chill and make sure everything is cool and, get in the ocean and eat some fruits and, you know what I mean? Just do what she does. But, it's my mother being a jet setter is what made me a jet setter. My mother being somebody who showed me that you could be independent and make money. That's what made me brave enough to come to New York and do that. Nobody wasn't doing no shit like that back in those days. I was looked upon like I was crazy. Right? They looked at me like I was crazy. Niggas was like, something wrong with these boys. You know what I mean? But this is me in Miami playing around with the shorties. And then this is me in 2009 back in Florida, Miami, with Pitbull. And this is Big Teach right here. This is the brother that brought me out there. This is my guy from all the way back in Sheepshead Bay High School. He's Trinidadian. He's from Brooklyn. He's one of us. You know what I mean? One of the realest that I know. So that was the brother who threw me the lifeline. And it changed the trajectory of my life. It helped create what you know as Red Pill. You feel me? Unintentionally, too. I was still watching lectures. I was still tapped in 2003. I used to watch DVDs and everything. These were the teachers that were impacting my consciousness, and I was learning from them. There wasn't an internet like that back then. You know what I mean? It wasn't like social media. You couldn't tap in like that. So me living in Florida, in Miami, I had to send money to New York and get my brother to buy DVDs and ship them to me. So he would do that and whatnot. And I was getting my mind blown. I've always been tapped into Valentine for a very long time. Dr. Francis Cress, I'm reading the books, and of course Dr. Sabi and his impact, and they planted the seeds. They planted the seeds. The seeds didn't germinate right away, but the seeds were being planted. You feel me? The seeds were being planted to the point where, I got to see the seeds begin to sprout and grow fruit and bear fruit. So, I made sure that when my son was born, he would be able to see Bobby Hemmett and touch Bobby Hemmett and sit in a Bobby Hemmett lecture and receive the downloads. Because all he had to do was remember or remember. I made sure that he got a picture with Bobby Hemmett. You know what I mean? In 2004, I was going to see AA, and I was telling him, yo, we're going to build a community. We're going to create something for ourselves. We're going to make this shit, applicable to young people. That's what I was telling him on the dance floor. I wasn't leaving him to rot behind bars. I was going to see him and put money on his books. You know what I'm talking about? You know, and then fast forward, we making music together. We doing lectures together. You know, we manifested our dreams and whatnot. Nobody is perfect. My guy, on many people's standards and whatnot, AA it doesn't, you know, he doesn't meet their benchmarks, and nobody is perfect. He's a raw Scorpio who, like I said, from like 1990, I've seen what he's been through. I've seen what he, you know, I know a lot of his trauma. You know what I'm saying? I've seen what he survived. I've seen the shit that he threw himself into, the fires and the pits that he crawled out of and whatnot. And I kind of understand and I empathize, you know, with the brother in his scorpionic ways. But through this whole journey, we've been able to raise children. You feel me? My Amir, my pride and joy, the young God saved my life, right? I have to mention that part, that I'm showing you all of these pictures and I'm attributing a change, but I'm not giving you when the pivot happened. I'm not giving you the red pill moment. I'm not giving you I'm not giving you the proper context as to when my life completely changed. November the 7th, 2007, I saw my first child born. That's when it changed. Everything else before that is just leading up to that moment. That was my Kairos moment. Everything leading up to that. When I saw that, something switched on in my head, and I haven't been the same ever since. You feel me? And he saved my life. You know? He saved my life, bro. He saved my life multiple times, but he definitely saved my life when he was born, and he put me balls deep on my path into this consciousness becoming red pill. You know, I began to blossom as the pillar. I began to fill into my role. I began to walk in my destiny. I had a purpose now. You know, I was living for somebody else now. But I also saw a future because I recreated myself, and I felt immortal. Just staring in my son's eyes, I felt immortal, bro. So through a series of events, me and Blue, you know, we built our platform, Know the Ledge. We catalog monumental moments in history. We created music. We created fashions. We created trends. We created slang. We created friendships, and we created enemies. You feel me? Through these spans of times and whatnot, where life was just lifing, but we maintained integrity and character. Built Know the Ledge up through Blog Talk Radio. Built Know the Ledge TV through YouTube. Start building with the HOK. You know, I'm talking about building with Black Magic, which was UGR. And in 2011, one of the most pivotal times in my life. And I would definitely go into debt in the book, but let's just say that I was left for dead, right? And two people showed up in that span of time that changed the course of my entire life. I'm talking about, imagine a plane going down and two people coming and pulling the levers of that plane and changing the trajectory from a crash out to a motherfucking safe landing. And that is the sister that you see in this picture, who goes by the name of Imina. She appeared on our Blog Talk Radio show as Ghetto the Goddess. She lived in Atlanta at that time. I met her at a Umar and Professor Griff lecture, Quiet as Kept, right? I met her at a Umar and Professor Griff lecture. She was the Isis or the Orset who put back together a broken Asar. She put me all the way back together. I promise you. What started out as a friendship and, something that built up, over time, developed into something that we got ordained by our elders. And what I mean by that is that we sat in front of two elders that we both trusted in our community, and they actually did our readings, and they did some work, and they told us exactly, what we were there, why we were in each other's lives. And they also gave us a time limit, because this was not a forever thing. She was there to help me get put back together, and I was there to put some things back together with her, and we forged a friendship. And then the other person who was instrumental at that time is the brother who just made transition. Okay. The brother threw a lifeline to me, and he was very instrumental in assisting me at that time. He opened up his house. He opened up his business. This was 2000, around here on the left. That's around 2011. I'm living in Atlanta. Yeah. And I'm living in the West End at the Sun Loft. And the brother, he has a whole room for me in his loft. He lives there with his wife. They have a restaurant called La Marjorie. It's a bakery bistro. I'm working there. He also has another business that he's opening up, and I have a role there as well. I was able to stack my bread. I was able to get my mind right. I was able to refocus. Then I went back to New York, and, I locked in with my son Amir, and then I met the mother of my daughter, and that was a whole new chapter right there. But those two people were very instrumental. This face that you're seeing right here, where I'm smiling and I'm able to look like I'm comfortable and I'm rested and I'm happy, that was all a result of both this sister loving on me and believing in me and seeing something in me and putting me back together, and also, just being protected by my friends, having somebody who I knew, was not going to turn their back. And I was able to use that to my advantage and whatnot. But I owe a lot to my bro. Okay. It was able to get me back into a place where I was ready to make history. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I was going to do it. And I got back on YouTube around 2014 and whatnot. I got back on YouTube around 2014. And if people don't realize, me and Sarnetta, we had to sign a truce because we were at war from 2009 damn near to 2014. It was a Cold War though. It wasn't one of those wars where we was insulting one another or dissing one another. It was just a Cold War. But, after, it was just a cold. So in 2014, we buried the hatchet and we decided to join forces and collaborate. And we made content that made history. And I think we hit the pinnacle of it around 2017, right? And it reached its heights, you know what I'm saying? That era, I must say, because everything is done in eras. It's all different cycles. And nothing is better than the other one. Okay. So this was 2017 at the festival, surrounded by the family, by the babies, you know what I mean? Just feeling the love. Fast forward 2020, 2025, the Stone Mountain experience, the bookstore, you know what I'm saying? I'm skipping through things, but I'm just giving y'all some of the timeline in the DeLorean. Okay. This campaign was around 2015. And the good old days, the golden era of consciousness. This is the golden era of consciousness. You feel me? So I'm showing you all of that also to show you that we live in an age where all of this is golden, right? All of this is golden, and nobody ever really dies, right? We blurs and we nerds. Nobody ever really dies, right? So I would highly suggest that there's anybody out there who wants to preserve their images, and use their images in this new AI world to be any character that you want. I want to introduce you guys to a character that I created that's modeled off of my images, right? Similar to what I want to do with my homie who just made transition. I want him to live on, right, through his digital twin and put him in stories and storylines, right? So I want to introduce y'all to Fly Sonette. I'm talking about Fly Sonette, This right here, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Fly Sonette. He flies all around the world, and he does what he needs to do. He's a multi-billionaire. Got rich off of crypto. That's a whole nother story. Fly Sonette, the young whale. So understand that you can now take your image and you could create clones of yourself, and you could create stories, and you could create short films, you could create advertising, you could create flyers, you could create podcasts, you could create music videos, you could create marketing projects, you could create faceless videos, right? This is Fly Sonette. He's a ladies' man. He's a gigolo. He's also a tech entrepreneur. He's also an arms dealer. Fly Sonette. Okay? So I want to bring different people into the fantasy world, because this is how you monetize your mind, your imagination. Fly Sonette, right? Fly Sonette. I train the model off of my image, and I'm now able to create anything that my mind can think of. That's where we at with it right now. And I can make these images move. These are not static images. I could literally make them move in a whim. Fly Sonette, right? Don't count yourself out. Don't count yourself out. It's only getting started. Don't count yourself out. We early in the game. I'm talking about, but you got to learn this. Man, I don't know what you got to do. I know what I'm doing. Because check this out. The kids are growing up and idolizing King Von, Andrew Tate, Kanye West, and Sexy Red, according to the teachers. When Gen Alphas, what they want to be when they grow up, the majority of them want to be YouTubers. Then after that, they want to be TikTok creators. Then they want to be doctors and nurses. Then they want to be app and video game developers, entrepreneurs, and artists. So 19%, 17%, and 16%. Send them to me. Matter of fact, and online streamers, send them to me. I'll take care of them. I'll develop them. If they want to be an app developer, an entrepreneur, an artist, or a streamer, even TikTok and YouTube is one thing, but those right there, we want to help your children get into that because this is what they want to do. So let's build some schools and let's build some apps and let's build some curriculum around that, and let's give them a good coach. We need good coaches. We need somebody that's going to coach them the right way because they're going to create it. They have a natural knack for it. We just have to be the quote unquote publicists and the coaches, right? NASA scientist said that he saw 7-foot-tall black-skinned aliens look like African Americans after stepping off mile-long ship. There should be Google videos of this. There should be 20 different. We need to do a challenge where we offer $1,000 for the person that could make the best short film of this. What the NASA scientist said that he saw. That's the things that we need to do to challenge on TikTok. But fret not, worry not. I can't say too much right now. However, what I will say is this. We are creating an agency. We are creating a community, which will be a network of young men and women who will be taking these creative endeavors and knocking them out. Okay? Creating taking these creative endeavors and bringing them to life. Check this out. We got the technology, y'all. It's time to stop playing.
Let me say this clear, and I don't support system, but I think that one of the things we have to learn, in order for me, right, I hope I'm speaking to young men, and this is for parents, our parents. You can't fight the teacher and learn.
We got to get on our inventor shit, y'all. We on our inventor. We inventors. I'm talking about. So with that being said, man, you know what I mean? That's the slideshow that I got for y'all. We doing it, yeah. We're gonna have the KTL watches available, and we also gonna have the smart clothing available. I think we're making a debut at the Invest Fest. I think we're gonna make the debut of that at the Invest Fest. So I'll keep y'all updated. Let's go to a few of our commercials real quick. Let's go to matter of fact, let me pull this up real quick. I might not even know about this, but check this out. Coming up on the 15th of August, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you our good brother, Chicago Crypto Block Bully, Pay Me in Crypto. All right, that is going to be a 5-hour workshop on August the 15th. Stream Chasers present Chicago Crypto Block Bully, Pay Me in Crypto. Pay Me in Crypto. August the 15th, y'all. Zoom only. We have an early bird special, and the link is in the description. If we have any mods in the building, can you drop the Eventbrite into the chat? It is a Zoom only lecture. It will be recorded 5+ hours. Stream Chasers represent our go-getters. That's when we open up income streams. So Block Bully is going to be showing us how to open up multiple income streams in the crypto economy. Pay me in crypto. So y'all could get paid in crypto. Y'all don't have to run around chasing it. You can get paid. Imagine getting you get paid in crypto. That's how you run up your crypto bag and you start earning more crypto. Word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Trumpet sounds of golden harp. I saw in a Zion these crystal balls of lightning.
Definition of a crystal: order, symmetry at the biological level. Melanin is a complex crystalline biopolymer. It is found in the nuclei of all cells, and concentrations of melanin may be found in the brain. Melanin is that X factor that opens up those subtle realms and means of communication. Again, intuition, clairvoyance, clairaudience. Yes, I.
Crystal balls of lightning, thunder in different sort, 4 and 20 Haitians around this. It was very cloudy, earthquake over the north and the south side, seraphim thrones and
AAATM Master Workshop, Build and Deploy the AI Empire. Behind the world's next billion-dollar companies, the ultimate 4-week certification to dominate the age of AI with automation, agentic systems, and monetizable APIs. Stop being a spectator in the AI revolution. Build your own automated empire, deploy autonomous agents, and monetize your stack with real APIs in 30 days.
Peace, y'all. Sacrilegious Sundays, all right? Y'all stay up, stay dangerous, stay safe. And first of all, first and foremost, please navigate through this retrograde safely. Navigate through the retrograde like the Silver Surfer. Peace.
Red, blue, purple light, friends. Red, blue, purple light, friends. Facts. Red, blue, purple light, friends. Red and blue, purple light, friends. Facts. You can get to know the ledger, sacrilegious Sunday to melanin Monday. You can get to know the ledger, my love. Just open your third eye on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road. You better stay on your toes. I was till the land focused on the ego. Then I open my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we're stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah. We gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts. We in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts. Peace, love and light. Peace, love. To the family, peace, love, and light. To the family, peace, love, and light. To the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you and it's going to provoke you and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes